All right, for group 3, we have Kalen, Joseph, George, and Ingrid. All right, so let's start with Kalen. Looks like we have a roll cake here for our recipe. So I'm just going to be guessing that this is your connotative and this is your denotative, but just in general, they look a little too similar now. So I would treat these a little bit differently. As we can see in previous examples here, where we have the denotative is treated much differently than the connotative, and similar to this version here where the connotative is different than the denotative, same here, right? Especially with this version right here where the connotative looks like a type illustration here versus the denotative is a little bit more didactic and straightforward. So let us just create a little bit more difference between the two because they do look the same. And maybe think of one being the denotative version. So let's just say this is your denotative version. I'm noticing that there's a little bit too much text all over, and some things can go a little bit smaller, so the title can be much smaller as well as the ingredients. And I think your body copy can also be organized a little bit better. I think I do like this size for your body copy. It works well. Just remember that you can always edit down the amount of information. I'm not going to be grading you on the exact recipe, but you can always, edit the amount of words per line. All right. If you're thinking of this being your structure for your overall layout, I would just keep to a strong alignment like you have to the left. And if this is going to be your second area for your alignment here, maybe make sure you keep to a consistent area for your ingredients. So here it looks like you have two different sizes for your ingredients. One size is different here and another size is different. So I would definitely make sure you use a more consistent size variation. All right. And I would just make sure that we use a little bit more white space like we do here. And that would free up some white space all around. All right. And I think this can go a little smaller in general. So see if there's something we can do about that. I'm going to be saying that this is your connotative. I do like how you're bringing in that pull quote here a little bit nicely, more than so seeing it here. But again, let's just make sure we're aligning things in a certain way. And what is it about roll cake that's so connotative? So it says a Swiss roll, jelly roll, roll cake, cream roll, roulade, or Swiss log, the type of rolled sponge cake filled with whipped cream, jam, or icing. So maybe there's some kind of emotive element we can bring into this, if this could be the version that you use a sans serif font, maybe we bring in a serif font in here for the rest of your font treatments in here, and bring some of those emotive qualities that we have in your pull quote and bring some of that into your overall layout, all right? But definitely see if there's a way we can treat the connotative version much more differently than the denotative version. All right. Let's move on to Joseph. Joseph is doing nitro cold brew. All right. So I'm going to guess this is going to be your connotative and your denotative. I'm just going to look at those together as a pair. They have a similar color palette quality, and I'm wondering if there's something you can do about cold brew, a nitro cold brew. So maybe kind of reversing some of those color judgments. So let's say you have this beige color you have here, and maybe reverse it out with this dark color here, or maybe like this darker gray color here you have for nitro, this outline, and then use the text in a white on a white color like you have here, just kind of darken this out a little bit, and then bring some of that beige areas, maybe become your own barista or a naturally infused beverage. Try to see if you can play around with the opposites of what you have in one of your layouts here. So let's say if this stays this light beige color, this can go into a darker version for your connotative, all right? So here it looks like you have your instructions and then your ingredients, all right? I would just be careful with how close things are getting to the edge of the page. You just want to have a nice margin space around, all right? And it looks like the text for some reason is stretching. I'm not sure if the text is like that or it's being stretched. But correct me if I'm wrong, right? I'm kind of wondering why things are kind of having these types of movements to them. And I know this is centered, but I would like to see this maybe aligned more to the left, just to organize this a little bit better. And the reason why is because there's a lot of movement going on. You have this font and you have this color treatment and you have outlines going on. You have a different color here. So if you want to use all those fonts, I would limit it to just 2 to 3, and in addition to color, but I would just simplify it just by aligning it in one area of your page right here, and that way you can kind of minimize the amount of movement going on here, because it's a little too much going on here. All right, so that's what I would recommend for your denotative. I think with the connotative, we start to look at color a little bit differently. We might be able to see a bit more difference here, but I'm not sure where to start my reading here. Nitro, and then am I going to brew coffee? So it's a little too hard to read for me. So if you want to keep things on a diagonal, it's fine, but there needs to be some kind of an intention there. But if we want to keep to this type of movement that we have going on, maybe taking nitro and keeping this diagonal strong in your layout, maybe put the title over here, put the instructions here, and then your ingredients here. Or I don't know if you want to reverse your ingredients here and put the instructions here. But if this is one kind of movement that you have that's very strong in your layout, I would stick to that. But I think doing too many movements like this is just very difficult to read. So let's just try to simplify this a little bit more. If this is a strong diagonal happening in your layout, and I would also try to align things to the left, so that way we're minimizing the amount of movement happening, because we have a lot going on. The outline type, we have colored type, and then we have diagonals everywhere. So let's just minimize that. All right. Let's just go to George. George, I did see that these two were your most recent submissions. I do want to say that I do like this submission that you had from last week for your connotative. I'm not sure which one of these is your connotative, to be honest, but I'm going to guess that it is this one right here. But if you can please try to use this version right here, because I think it works a little bit better as a connotative, and this being your denotative. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and critique this and say, with Wagyu sliders, I want sliders to read the correct way, not upside down. So put S-L-I-D and continue the rest of the word. So we read this correctly, and we don't want to see upside down type. All right, and then just organize this in a way where we kind of see our information better. So I would just maybe add what this area is here. So if we're doing ingredients, maybe just add a title here, or in the middle that says ingredients in bold or something. I like that you actually made your patty right here in bold, so that's very nice and strong. I think this is maybe some garnish of thing, but try to see if you can organize the information or tell us what this is exactly. But I do like how you're creating an illustration out of the burger, all right, as your connotative version. For your denotative, and I will correct myself here, so this is denotative. I think this works well for your two this way. Those work better nicely as a set. I hope you agree with that, but that's what I would recommend. So I'm not sure why sliders is getting cut off, but see if there's a way to, it's okay for text to go on the edge, but this is maybe let it be exactly on the edge without any space showing. But this, I'm not sure why it's cutting off this way. So if you want to bring this sandwich-like effect back into your denotative, just be a little bit more intentional with where you use your text, all right? And I think these two kind of work well as a set this way. And just make sure, we bring a labeling system here, and, with your directions, bring in step 1, step 2, step 3, just organize it a little bit better, all right? That's what I would recommend for your denotative, all right? And then I think you're missing a pull quote, so that's something that I would add for both of them. So see if you can bring that in. All right. Let's go to Ingrid. Ingrid, you had a version that was different than this one, but I really like this version right here, and I'm choosing this one to critique because I think it's much stronger than the one you have recently submitted. I really like how you have the playfulness of the 3 for the trace. And I think overall the contrast you have with the text here works very nicely. And overall the alignment you have with the text with the title treatment works nicely, as well as how these areas of the ingredients fit in. So I would definitely go with this version. I would just be careful with areas right here where it says Mexican dessert. I'm not sure if this is the best area to put this placement of type. Maybe bring this here, align it to the left, but let it read with the baseline and the cap line over here. So that way it's not creating this awkward movement here. And it's also the only area here that you rotate your type, all right? So kind of like if you remove it in a way, it just kind of feels cleaner. Maybe we can just bring this in here, or maybe it fits here in smaller type. I don't know, but just some thoughts, all right? This looks really good. I would just say maybe make it a little bit larger, and maybe not bold the hyphens or the quotation marks, sorry. I think they're looking a little bit too jarring. But I would like to see how this would look like in a nice italic, maybe thinner font, and see if there is like a size that's a little bit different than your body copy that might be accommodating for the rest of this quote here. But I think this looks very nice overall. I'm going to go into your connotative, and I know it says 3 here, but I'm not really seeing where your title treatment is. It seems to be lost somewhere. And it looks like you have your directions here on the 3, and then your ingredients here on the shadows, which is nice, but it's a little bit too difficult to read. So I see step 1, preheat oven, step 2, step 3. I'm not sure where step 4 is, sorry. Oh, step 4 here, 5. So I'm wondering if, if there's a way this can work a little bit better. Because I do like what you're doing here with the type and just placing it on different planes. But I would also say, make things a little bit more readable. Like I can read 1 cup sugar here easily, 1/3 milk, whole milk easily. But when you get to this, it starts to become very difficult to read. I would just caution you against that. That's the only thing. But it is very hard to go from number 4 to number 5 here. I just, I struggled with it a little bit. And I want to say, I want to bring back some little elements like how you have your title treatment and maybe like your pull quote back into this type illustration here. But it is nice as a pair. I'm definitely seeing this very clearly here. Maybe there's a way to bring in some color into your denotative, just so you can make it work as a pair. The best example I see with color is this one here for Amy. You know, working with color, working with opposites and contrast works very nicely here. I think also, you know, with George's, we see, you know, some kind of contrasting color. So you can still work in it as a pair, or black and white, if you will. So see if you can bring some of that color into your denotative. All right. Hopefully that helps, but I think this is a very nice set so far.